The tech sector is struggling with the impacts of a struggling economy, the COVID-19 pandemic, and mismanagement. This resulted in job losses in 2022, but the situation has worsened in 2023 with even more layoffs. To keep track of these developments, we have gathered all major job cuts in one place and will continuously update as the situation changes. Amazon job cuts. Amazon had previously announced its layoff plans, but in January it increased the cuts by eliminating 18,000 jobs, mostly from its retail and recruiting departments. CEO Andy Jassy attributed the cuts to both a challenging economy and excessive hiring in recent years. Although Amazon experienced significant growth during the pandemic as consumers shifted to online shopping, its growth has slowed as people return to physical stores. Coinbase layoffs. Coinbase was one of the companies affected by the cryptocurrency market's decline in 2022, and this carried into the new year. In mid-January, the cryptocurrency exchange laid off 950 employees, just months after cutting 100 positions. This represents one of the steepest cuts in staffing among major tech companies. Coinbase lost about 1/5 of its workforce. CEO Brian Armstrong stated that the layoffs were necessary to reduce operating expenses and weather the crypto winter, but it also resulted in the cancellation of some less promising projects. Alphabet, Google's parent company, has been reducing costs for some time, including shutting down Stadia, and in late January announced plans to lay off 12,000 employees. CEO Sundar Pichai was clear about the reason Alphabet had been hiring for a different economic reality and was restructuring to focus on the company's most critical businesses. The Area 120 incubator was especially hard hit, with most of its workers losing their jobs. Sub-brands like Intrinsic, Robotics, and Verily Health also had significant reductions in their workforce in the days leading up to the mass layoffs. IBM layoffs. Layoffs are sometimes a result of corporate strategy shifts rather than financial difficulties, and IBM's 2023 layoffs serve as a prime example. The computing pioneer laid off 3,900 employees in late January after divesting both its Watson Health business and its infrastructure management division, now Kyndryl, in the fall. These employees no longer had any work as IBM shifted its focus towards cloud computing. Microsoft job cuts. Microsoft began its second largest round of layoffs in company history in mid-January, signaling plans to cut 10,000 jobs by the end of March. Like many other tech giants, it was cutting costs as customers reduced their spending during the pandemic recovery, particularly in Windows and devices. The cuts were particularly painful for some divisions. Reports suggest that the HoloLens and mixed reality teams were greatly impacted, while 343 Industries is believed to have restarted Halo development after losing many workers. PayPal layoffs. PayPal has been one of the healthier tech companies, surpassing expectations in its third quarter of the previous year. However, it has not been immune to a challenging economy. In late January, the online payment company announced plans to lay off 2,000 employees, or 7% of its total workforce. CEO Dan Schulman stated that the downsizing would help control costs and enable PayPal to focus on its core strategic priorities. Salesforce job cuts. Salesforce set the tone for 2023 when it announced plans to lay off 8,000 employees, or approximately 10% of its workforce, just 4 days into the new year. Despite experiencing rapid growth in revenue during the pandemic, the cloud software company admitted to having hired too aggressively and being unable to maintain those staffing levels in light of the declining economy. SAP layoffs. Business software giant SAP experienced a 68% drop in profit at the end of 2022 and began 2023 by laying off 2,800 employees to maintain the health of its business. Unlike some tech companies, SAP did not attribute the cuts to excessive pandemic-era hiring, but instead characterized the move as a targeted restructuring for a company that still expected growth in 2023. Apple layoffs. Apple made headlines in late January 2023 as it announced plans to lay off 10% of its retail staff, 4,200 people. The tech giant has been closing stores for years, but this round of cuts came as the company's financials were under pressure. CEO Tim Cook said the company was focusing on its most productive locations, but declined to comment on whether this was a result of financial problems or simply a shift in strategy. Nevertheless, the layoffs were a stark reminder that even one of the world's most valuable companies isn't immune to economic realities.